Good afternoon. I'm so excited to present the Larry Foster Award for Integrity in Public Communication to Kelly McGinnis, Chief Communications Officer at Levi Strauss & Company. Kelly oversees communications and media relations at Levi's, working closely with Michelle Gaff, CEO. Kelly McGinnis epitomizes integrity in her work and in her life. When I think about Kelly, I think about one of my favorite Page Center principles, prove it with action. As we all know, these are truly difficult times for brands, for communications leaders, and for millions of people throughout the country and the world. During her time at Levi's, Kelly has helped the historic brand launch Time to Vote, which for those of you who don't know is a groundbreaking initiative that encourages companies to make sure their employees have the time off to vote. She's also spearheaded Levi's advocacy for gun violence prevention and reproductive rights, among others, helping Levi's inspire other brands to do more and create real change in society. As if that's not enough, separate from her work at Levi's, Kelly is the vice chair of the Homeless Prenatal Program Board, where she helps the San Francisco nonprofit empower homeless and low-income families to transform their lives. Kelly exemplifies the phrase, doing well by doing good, and she does it with grace, with heart, and with integrity. Before Levi's, Kelly was the vice president of global communications at Dell and a general manager at Fleishman-Hillard for many years. Kelly's been recognized by PR Week on the US Power List, and we're thrilled to honor her here today. And now let's hear from a few of her friends and colleagues who know Kelly best.
There are so many adjectives that I think would describe Kelly. Passionate, hardworking, all in, purpose-driven, high integrity, high character, thoughtful, courageous. The list goes on and on.
Kelly's one of those people that truly lives her values. What you see is what you get, and she is honest. She's a good person. She is a great leader. She's often one of the first people I call when I have an idea and I want to stir things up. She does the same for me, and it's been really fun to partner and collaborate with her over the years.
Kelly is an extraordinary person. I don't think I've ever met or worked with somebody who is both so precise in her guidance and advice and her ability to understand situations. If there was a corporate communications Wonder Woman, it would be Kelly McGinnis.
Kelly, it is truly my honor to award you the Larry Foster Award for Integrity in Public Communication.
Well, thank you, Ellyn, and the Arthur W. Page Center for this distinguished award that recognizes the essence of integrity in communications. I accept it with a deep sense of humility and an even deeper commitment to the values it represents. In a world that's brimming with information and an equal measure of misinformation, the stakes have never been higher for integrity in communications. As public relations professionals, we have the responsibility to be zealots for unwavering integrity and intellectual honesty. I'm privileged to have the opportunity to steer the communications at Levi Strauss & Company, a company whose foundation is deeply rooted in our steadfast values. Our devotion to profits through principles lies at the very center of our work and serves as a North Star in guiding our decisions around the narratives we tell, how we use our voice, and our aspiration to exert an influence inside and outside the company. Whether it's for equality, gun violence prevention, voting access, or reproductive rights, we're proud to say that when we lead, others follow. Receiving this award is not just an accolade. It represents an obligation for us to elevate our dedication, to continuously build and strengthen our communications, and to epitomize the paradigm of corporate citizenship that encompasses a 360-degree view of stakeholders. Despite all the change around us, our dedication to our values will not change. Thank you once more for this incredible recognition. I'm humbled, and I promise to keep up the fight.
Let's get started. Let's talk about integrity because that's why you're being celebrated today. What does it mean to you to have integrity in communications?
Have integrity in communications means you're transparent, you're clear and open in your actions and decisions. And when taking action, your decisions are backed in a way that showcase that you're really committed to solving problems. When we approach advocacy, it's about more than just being responsible. And it's a lot more than just speaking out for the sake of speaking. We really work hard to find ways to influence and impact the issues that are going to make a difference for our people and our stakeholders.
I love that. And I think you touched on this, but can you talk a little bit more about how what you've learned at your time at Levi's has helped you model integrity for your team and your stakeholders? How do you inspire others?
We've learned most is that we have to keep working at it, that we're going to be learning as we going. We have to keep investing in what our goals are, and we have to keep holding ourselves accountable and make ourselves open to being accountable to our stakeholders and to the folks who are really committed to it. So I guess for us, pursuing integrity never stops because the circumstances change, new challenges arise, and you have to keep listening and learning as we go. And for us, it really is a matter of always being led with respect and humility in everything that we do. And so even when we've seen accomplishments, we realize that we approach that with the humility to understand there's always more to do.
You talked a little bit about inspiring your employees and your stakeholders. These are really difficult times. The Page Center just issued a report on corporate and social advocacy. And we know that companies, even if they're afraid, can no longer stay silent on some of these issues. One of our insights in the report found that even if a company decides not to take action, you should communicate internally about topics that are important, foster a sense of shared purpose, and build trust. How do you do that among your staff and your stakeholders? How do you create a sense of shared purpose at Levi's? What does that look like?
Well, we know that we're going to have a better business if we have a diverse business. And that means that we have to make space for people to really bring their authentic selves to work. And for them to do that, they have to be able to feel like there's room for them to express themselves, to have the conversations, and to really participate in what is the collective sense of purpose that we're trying to drive within the company. And so we work hard to make sure that we have space and that there's permission for that, but also that people do it in a respectful manner. So the root of our company is really around that shared purpose and the values that have been the undercurrent of this iconic brand for more than 170 years. And so as we follow that North Star, it really helps us to both drive our business and establish who we are as an employer. So we have lots of history here. We have lots of lessons learned. And we definitely have sort of the humility to have that conversation within the organization and say, we learned and we'll do better next time when we have to. But we want to make sure that people know that there's room for them to be their authentic self. And whether that's from our employee resource groups and them really stepping up to express issues, or if it's just employees talking to their managers or our leaders, we have a long history of having sort of an Ask Me Anything town hall setting, whether that's with our CEO on a monthly basis. And by doing that, it sets the groundwork that people know that they have space to be heard and there won't be repercussions. It really is us all trying to solve and tackle things together.
I love that. I love that you describe it as a conversation, and listening is so important and giving everyone a voice. Okay, now let's take a question from the audience. I know Tom also asked this of Ursula. It's from a Penn State alum named Jean Chapkovich. I love it. What's your best advice for women aspiring to get to the C-suite? What characteristics and behaviors have been your superpowers on the way to the top? We just heard on the video that you're a Wonder Woman in corporate communications, so this seems fitting.
I certainly wouldn't call it a superpower, but I think first and foremost, we all have to accept that it's going to be messy. It's going to be nonlinear, and that we really just want to be willing to be open to embrace the opportunities that come toward us. So for me, my advice is always choose the people you want to work with. The work itself will follow and you'll be able to find meaningful work in it, but work with people that inspire you, that you want to learn from, and that are going to help to lift you up. I think the other thing is to be a voice for the other women in the room. So we've all been there where someone says something and then it just either gets blown past, and being the person who repeats it to make sure that it's heard and that we pause is a way to really support and elevate each other. And I know the folks who have done that for me have made a huge difference. And when you model it, other people start to do it. So I don't think there's any one answer. And I think the most important thing is to be accepting of ourselves and realize that we probably won't be able to do it all at the same time. So there'll be times when it's feeling really good at home and feeling really messy at work. And there'll be times where it's feeling really good at work and feeling really messy at home. But on the long trajectory it all shakes out.
I know that emerging media is changing the landscape completely, and it's hard to keep up. Do you have any tips for comms practitioners that how they can be prepared for the future?
I mean, I think we should all be paranoid a little bit, right? And what I mean by that is just that we all have to be open to learning. We have to be willing to listen, to ask questions, and to experiment. So there's no one answer, and the answers change on a day-to-day, if not quarterly basis. But being willing to step in and to push ourselves and also call it when you learn and say that one didn't work for us is okay. But I think that we've moved into, and I think it actually fits into what we're talking about with integrity. We've moved into an era where authenticity and not being too polished, not being overly scripted, it builds much greater trust and credibility. And so it's okay for us to experiment and try things, to learn from them and say some things work and some things don't.
That's a great point. Fail forward.
Exactly.
Switching gears a bit. I'm a mom of 2 little girls. I know you have girls. It's so hard to balance it all. You talked about this earlier. We have another question from the audience from Nandini Bala, a faculty member at Texas State, wants to know how you balance your personal and professional life so well.
Well, I don't know that I would say that we do it well, but we figure it out. And what I would say is that what we talked about before, rarely are the demands all at the same time. And we just have to have a lot of grace with each other and for ourselves. So I, like you, have a very busy household. And now that my kids are starting to be teenagers, they're busier than any of us. And recognizing that we're all just juggling and doing our best and being a little bit patient with each other, I think makes a huge difference. For me, I get into the biggest mistakes when I try to keep up with the pace of things coming at me. So often we all hear it, but the biggest thing that I can do is take a breath, step back, and just really recognize what do we need to prioritize. But when it's very easy for me to get into the boom, 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 and that never works. And those are where all of my big mistakes have happened.
Absolutely. Here too. Okay, my last
question. It comes
question
from a very well-intentioned place, but exactly. It doesn't work.
Exactly. Okay, a really important question. What jeans are you wearing? And do you wear them when you work from home too? Or are you in leggings like me and so many of us these post-COVID days?
Well, I do love a good pair of leggings. We own Beyond Yoga, and they are the softest out there. But most of the time, I'm wearing the Canadian tuxedo. So I wear a Western shirt and a pair of 501s almost every day. And it's both a uniform and it's also a comfort for me. They're very comfortable and I feel really confident in wearing them. And I will say that none of us should be afraid on denim on denim. It's a really easy thing to do.
Good to know. I'm always 2 years behind the trend. So great to know. Thank you, Kelly. This has been so inspiring. Congratulations again on your Larry Foster Award for Integrity in Public Communications. You are so deserving of this honor.
Well, thank you, Ellyn. It's incredibly generous, and I'm so grateful. And I do feel like I understand how incredibly important this is, and it comes with a tremendous sense of obligation and responsibility that we live up to the recognition. So thank you.